All bow to our new leaders, our true leaders. Yes, I'm talking about those guys in there at the Supreme Court, the robed gods that give us all that we need to know from on high. They've done it again. They've taken over another area of public policy, and they've said to our elected officials in Parliament over there, that pesky building, don't you worry your pretty little heads about this. We know better. I'm talking about the medical marijuana decision, and I know that a lot of you are going to be cheering, going, yeah, marijuana, more legal, yeah, good, oh, marijuana, yeah, medical marijuana is great, ah. But stop and think about this. Remove the fact that this is medical marijuana. Would the court rule on any other drug and how it can be distributed or administered? No, they don't do that. That is Health Canada policy area. But on medical marijuana, the court said, you know what, your restriction saying that medical marijuana can be allowed, but it's got to be taken in this form. No, you've got to allow it in all these other forms. You've got to allow pot brownies. You've got to allow oil. You've got to allow all of it. We're going to make up our minds. We're going to make up your minds as well. They would never say, you know what, you've got to make Viagra available in a liquid form because Bob over here doesn't like swallowing pills, but he needs to get it up, so make Viagra available in that. No, they wouldn't do that. They would say, has Health Canada gone through all the necessary steps? Not when it comes to marijuana. Why? Because it's a progressive agenda item. Check that one off. Keep it coming. And that's what this court is really all about, moving along the progressive agenda. That is all they're about these days. This is not a court that says, how do we operate? Do we have an effective judiciary, an effective legislative, an effective executive branch? No, forget about division of powers. They have all the powers. They have all the powers, even when it comes to regulatory issues like how a drug can be administered. Like I said, they would never do this for another type of drug. Maybe they do it for heroin. Well, they did the heroin injection site issue. They would do it for anything that's on the progressive agenda items. Of course, those are also the items that get lots of funding to push court cases all the way up to the top. So that's my big issue with this. My second issue is with the progressive crowing on this. So the Toronto Star, the Red Star, is off celebrating this court ruling. But as they're doing it, they have a story in their newspaper today and online. Star investigation, drug facilities allowed to self-inspect. They're talking about major pharmaceutical companies that import some of their material from other countries, sometimes from their own facilities, and then it's brought to Canada to make a drug here. So they import ingredients from their facilities overseas, they bring it here. The Star's upset that this material, these facilities, haven't been inspected by Health Canada. So now they want Health Canada involved to go overseas and inspect these facilities. But getting a pot brownie down the street from some guy you don't know, well, that's fine. They're good with that, and to hell with Health Canada. The court will decide on that. The court will decide on that, but say a major pharmaceutical company with billions of dollars on the line, their corporate reputation, they can't be trusted. We've got to send in the health inspectors. Do you really think that every pot brownie is going to be inspected by Health Canada? No, it's never going to happen, but the Star won't complain about that. Why? Pot good, court good, conservatives bad, drug companies bad. None of it makes sense anymore. It's all upside down and twisted around, and the only thing that matters to progressives is the outcome. And so they're happy about this court ruling. They're happy to bash corporations, even if it's just for the sake of bashing them. But the fact is, they're not worried about the health of people, because if they were, they might be more worried about unleashing marijuana. They say in an editorial earlier this year, well, there's plenty of people who smoked marijuana and they haven't succumbed to reefer madness, so just legalize it already. Okay, fine. I'm not going to stand here and argue with you about pot legalization. I'm darn near ambivalent about it. I'm sick of the argument. But what I will say is that if pot's legalized, it's not going to be all controlled by the government. Never has been, never will be. And so you're going to be unleashing onto the streets the very thing that the Star's denouncing now. But you know what? They're not going to complain about that, and the courts aren't going to get involved because progressive agenda item, pot legalized, pot more readily available. It's all they care about. It's like the progressives and libertarians care about one thing and one thing only, getting pot legalized. Well, that and progressives really love abortion as well. Very bizarre ruling today, very disturbing, even if you agree with pot legalization, even if you agree with medical marijuana, having the highest court in the land be the one that determines drug policy in this country, that determines what is approved, what isn't approved, that's not the way we should be going. Another case of the court usurping its power and deciding that they, not Parliament, are supreme. It is truly the High Court.